Yes, we could be doing better on how we're taking care of the planet. Also, the technology we're developing right now, I think give it a little time and we will create more new species than have ever gone extinct.
Oh God, that's wonderful.
I think we are going to walk into a era of prosperity.
You think there's a possibility that you have come back from the future as half AI and half human? No, I'm being very serious now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Retirement House Podcast, the only podcast with over 450 years of wisdom and expertise.
Unfortunately, gaining wisdom and expertise comes along with the side effect, growing older. Something we're all pretty familiar with, in case the name of our podcast didn't give it away.
But fear not, our guest this week seems to have found the fountain of youth. He is the world's most measured human and spends $2 million a year on his health, even more than LeBron James. He and his team of 30 scientists claim that he is currently aging slower than the average 10-year-old.
Not only has he reversed the aging process with his company Blueprint, he previously owned a mobile payment company called Braintree, which acquired Venmo in 2012 and was later acquired by PayPal for $800 million.
In addition to Blueprint, he is also the founder and CEO of Kernel, a company that has developed devices that can monitor and record brain activity. And if that wasn't enough, he is also the founder of OS Fund, which invests in early-stage science and tech companies and is currently valued at over $6 billion.
So without further ado, let's give a warm welcome to Bryan Johnson. And we want to start, of course, with a big question. First, we want to say thank you so much for inviting us in here today. And secondly, what age do you estimate that you can live to, or is that a valid question because everything is changing so rapidly, almost day to day?
You are so wise.
Thank you.
Less wise people would say, well, they would try to put a number to it and say 100 or 120 or 140. But you are exactly right. Things are changing faster than they ever have before, and we just don't know.
What we know is that life is wondrous.
It's wondrous, and it's worth fighting for. It is worth living. Yes. It is worth being around. It is worth being in the future. You know, I think in the 20th century, somebody could have said, I want to live a life of debauchery. I'm going to drink and smoke and have all kinds of sensorial pleasures because I want to live fast and die young. But now in the 21st century, that's changed. The potential is different. And so I think it's wise for people to say, I'm going to slow my speed of aging down. I'm going to take care of myself because we want to be around for what could be the most extraordinary human experience ever.
So that gives me such joy.
So take us back to the beginning, all the way back to the beginning of Blueprint. What is it and why did you decide to build it?
There were a few reasons why. First was to solve my own problem. At 7 p.m. every night, in order to soothe life's stresses, I would overeat. And I was powerless to stop doing this. And so I had 3 little babies. I was running a company. I had been dealing with chronic depression for a decade. I was leaving a religion I was born into. So a lot of things were really stressful. And by the time 7 p.m. arrived, I was just out of energy. And I would feel a lot of pain and a lot of stress. And then I would think, oh, those brownies.
Chocolate brownie.
That'll fix
those
it.
graham crackers, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was unable to stop overeating. And so I was 60 pounds heavier than I am now. It's like a husky dog.
Yeah.
It's like a whole dog on me that I was carrying around. And so one evening I said, evening, Bryan, the version of me that shows up at 7 p.m., you make my life miserable. Every night, You come with these pretty little arguments of like, just one more day, the brownies are going to solve everything.
Yeah, just tonight.
Just tonight.
Yeah.
Have another glass of wine.
Yeah, just one. It's going to make you feel better. You deserved it. You had a great day.
Yeah.
And I said, you're fired. You're done. You no longer have authority to eat. And that was the day I changed how, I guess, really kind of Blueprint was conceptualized, which is I had power over myself to say there are versions of me which do bad things to me. That are good, like in the morning, Brian's really a great guy. After workout, Brian, he's a nice guy too. But evening, Brian, boy, he's a rascal. And he's always doing naughty things. And so that was really how Blueprint got started, is trying to solve my own problem.
Right.
So is it a magic cure that, you take a pill and you're fine, or what exactly is Blueprint?
So I like to think about Blueprint in the same way we think about Magellan in trying to circumnavigate the globe, or Shackleton on the South Pole, or Lewis and Clark mapping the West. Explorers through history who say, we want to go out into this unknown horizon. We don't know what's there, but we want to look at it. And a lot of people think about aging as a magic pill that may come in the future. And what I wanted to ask was, is meaningful age reversal here now, age slowing and age reversal? It's just hiding in all kinds of scientific publications and a different kind of lifestyle than is today. And so that's what we've been doing. And so we put it to the test for 2 years to say, what if somebody did all the things available for that science has to offer? What would happen to their body? And that's what we've tried to do.
Since you got rid of bad or troublesome Brian, what is your daily routine like now?
Every morning I do 4 hours of Blueprint type protocols. So I wake up, the first thing I do is I measure my body temperature in my ear.
Okay.
So my body runs 3 degrees Fahrenheit cooler than normal. So I'm around 95.9 Fahrenheit.
Okay.
I then weigh myself and look at my body fat, hydration levels, muscle mass, a bunch of other markers. I take a few pills. I come downstairs and I do therapy. I do heart rate variability therapy, which is I just put a little thing in my ear that electrocutes me.
Oh, come on now.
Minimally.
Literally?
But it's really light.
Oh, yeah, like,
You just barely feel it.
yeah, you could be our age. I don't know.
It wakes you up.
Yeah.
Go
But
on.
It helps my nervous system. It speaks to my my chill nervous system, my parasympathetic nervous system. So
Okay.
it helps me calm. And then I put a cap on my head for hair growth. I drink what I call the Green Giant, which is a bunch of nutrients. I work out for an hour, come back in, do some stretching, and then I'm ready for the day.
Does your hair cap actually grow your hair?
There's good science saying that it's worthwhile doing.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean,
I could use that. Yeah. I'm taking collagen and biotin, but it's not working as fast.
Yeah.
Plus, it's hereditary too at the loss.
Well, we can do it if you want. It's right over there.
And you're taking over 100 pills, or around 100 pills a day.
That's right.
Maybe exactly 100 pills a day. I'm wondering, because there's so much controversy in the supplement market, how do you source those?
Yeah, so I do take over 100 pills a day. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I take those pills is because our scientific question is, if you were to design the perfect diet that not just is for optimal health, but tries to push the boundaries of slowing my speed of aging and reversing the aging that has occurred, what is that protocol?
Right.
And so it's just an unusual scientific question that people haven't posed in the past. And so when you then say, okay, how would you possibly answer that question? We then measure every organ of my body. So we say, hey, liver, hey, pancreas, hey, heart, hey, lungs, what do you need to be your best self? And they report out data. We look at the data, we look at scientific evidence, and we say, okay, here's what this organ needs to be its best self. And then we design the protocol. And then once we do that, we look at the providers who do that. We get their certificates of purity. So we make sure it's coming from a reputable supplier. We know what they're doing. And then we test everything in my body. So I take the supplements, but we don't just trust it. We want to measure it. So everything that goes in, we measure.
Right.
And so, for example, a recent assessment we did on my liver, a lot of people say, wouldn't 100 pills wreck your liver?
That's the next question.
Yeah.
Taking that many in, because 100 pills, just for the liver? Or if you take 100 pills, it's different organs, that doesn't mess up the body in any way?
I mean, that was the question we were posing. We designed the perfect, we designed what we thought would be an ideal thing for what my organs were asking for. And if you look at my liver markers, I had a 40% improvement in the past 2 years alone on the markers. And they look like they're indistinguishable from my 17-year-olds. If you look at the blood work of my 17-year-old and mine on our liver, you can't tell the difference. And so if according to those markers, the liver seems very happy with the situation.
How would you be able to distinguish the effects on your liver? How would you know what effect that had on your heart, say?
Yeah. So we measure the heart. So every organ we measure as much as we can. So we look at my heart with ultrasound, blood pressure, VO2 max with fitness tests. We look at MRI. We do EKGs. We do 10 or so different measurements. And so my heart, we've biologically aged through maybe 12 different markers. So a lot of people are confused by chronological age and biological age. So chronological age, of course, is when we left our mother's womb. Biological age is there's a certain way a 10-year-old heart is shaped and the way it functions, anatomical and functional. And that's different for a 20-year-old and a 30-year-old and a 50-year-old, but you wouldn't mistake a 10-year-old heart for an 80-year-old heart. They're very different in how they work and what they look like. And so you can look at these organs and you can biologically age and say, what does this organ look like anatomically and what does it function like? And so we're trying to achieve in my body both it looking like a younger biological age and functioning like the younger biological age. And so that way we can speak about it in numbers and not just say I'm healthy. We want to say healthy to what degree? Like at what is the biological age equivalent that this is operating at?
Since you've tested and know which ones are good, what supplements would you suggest people start taking today if they want to help their liver or their heart or something?
Yeah, so I've spent millions of dollars developing this protocol, and I've made the whole thing free for everybody. Oh. Everybody can go to the website. They can see exactly what I do. They can see my recipes. They can see the supplements I take. All my data is shared. But your answer is, I actually, it might surprise you. Mm-hmm. So I don't suggest any supplements. Okay. I suggest trying to remove behaviors that are bad.
Oh, okay.
And we definitely have them.
Like stress or
dessert. Not everybody has the self-will and strength that you have. Right. You're one of a kind, really.
Yes.
But we're hoping that there's going to be a whole bunch of us around, because if there isn't, mankind is not going to make it.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yep. So it is a hard thing to do. I agree with you. So oftentimes, I think this is more powerful, though, than taking supplements, is to identify behaviors that accelerate your speed of aging and the progression of disease.
Are you telling me to stop drinking wine?
Don't stress out.
Well, it sounded like, okay, the body, after a good day, you got home, you needed to reward yourself. You felt like, I need to so what you did was you changed the reward.
You're exactly right.
So instead of the pudding, now it's nutty pudding, and it's exercise, and it's good things to do for yourself.
Exactly
good
right.
Chocolate, always good chocolate.
That's really well said.
Yeah. So change your rewards.
Yeah. The way I would suggest we think about this is I call this a SAD score. Self-aided destruction. And so we can just start.
That's a whole generation.
But you've been doing it for so many years.
I went from the
top to stop.
So we can do four easy ones to start.
Okay.
So one is go to bed on time.
That's easy. I fall asleep in the chair.
Okay.
TV,
Okay, you're ahead of the curve there. Okay,
Right.
great. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Okay.
So go to bed on time. Mm-hmm. That means don't stay up later past your bedtime. Go to bed at the same time every night.
Got that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Number 2 is exercise.
I do.
Okay, great. 2 for 2. Yeah, don't skip exercise. 3 is avoid alcohol and smoking.
I'm 3 for 3. Go on.
Okay, great. And those are kind of the big ones. If you can get your sleep right, your exercise, and then avoid some bad ones, you're off to a really good start. And if you eat some more vegetables, great. But like if you just start knocking off the real bad ones, here's another one. Don't eat too much.
For some people, that's their pleasure.
8 o'clock at night, too much, no self-control. Okay,
Well, see, that's
bad on me.
that's the thing that happens. We procrastinate about how much is too much. You know, and well, for me, it's just
Just one
and
more
they
bite.
say that the enemy of creativity is resistance. And if we could resist going to the refrigerator, getting that cookie,
Yep.
then we would be much better off.
Yes.
Just naturally. wouldn't we?
Well, and I heard you say on an interview that after a while, guilty pleasures bring no pleasure at all.
Yes.
And in fact, taste a little bit like gasoline.
Yes, that's exactly right. Ouch. That one seems to stick. So what do you guys think?
No, I think they're all great. I just know I got to start working on not nighttime snacks.
Yeah, that's a
it
hard
is,
one.
right?
But would you also add in there stress that you put upon yourself?
Yeah.
That's two I got to work on. Okay.
It's choices, yeah.
I mean, one thing you can do is, so when that version of you shows up and they're like, hey, a trip to the fridge to grab a cookie sure is going to help me have a great night tonight. And having a great night is going to be really important. I did great today. Like, whatever the excuses are, so the way you can deal with it is give that version of yourself a name.
Bad Patty.
Bad Patty, sneaky Patty. Like, come up with a name. And when they show up, you're like, hey, Bad Patty, nice to see you.
Thank you. It's nice to see
Yeah,
you.
nice to see you. But what do you have going on? And Bad Patty's going to say, well, I got a few things we could do tonight. And you can say, well, what do you have on your mind? And then Bad Patty's going to share her list. And you can say, Bad Patty, I'm sorry. We stopped doing those things because we know they're not good for us.
Okay.
You've had that conversation before.
I'll make that my goal.
Yeah.
With food.
Yeah. And then Bad Patty, what's Bad Patty going to say?
You don't want to know.
Yeah.
You don't
after
want
this
to know.
wine, that's what Bad Patty will say.
No, but I am going to try that. You're giving me incentive to get rid of Bad Patty and only have good Bubby.
And when Bad Patty is not able to get what she wants, she's going to throw a tantrum.
Well, I'm a middle child, so
Okay.
you just scream the loudest, right?
Yeah. So then you have to say, it's, calm down. It's okay. You're going to be okay. But I mean, I saw Evening Bryan. I mean, he would be on the floor. He'd be like trying to punch walls. They panic. They just go through all kinds of, withdrawal. It's real.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you ever give yourself a cheat day?
I'll tell you my cheat day. My son and I did a 500-mile motorcycle trip.
Okay.
That is our cheat day. So I no longer think of cheat days as doing bad things for me. Cheat days are rewards that I get that I earn from all of my good behavior.
And they're healthy.
Exactly, and I can do it because I'm healthy.
That's such a great attitude. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you
Cheat days are positive days.
one of the questions is, do you meditate? But I'm guessing that you remember that every moment of your life is a meditation.
That's very well said.
You get close to 100% quality sleep every night. How can you suggest we get that? How can we? Because I never get 100% good sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, I think of myself as a professional sleeper.
I like
Okay,
that.
I like
Yeah,
that.
it changes your framework, right?
Yeah.
When you think about that, like you take sleep as seriously as you do anything else in life. And if you take that disposition, you just approach it differently. So one is just going to bed at the same time every night,
What time do you go to bed at night?
8:30. Am I to bed earlier than you?
Yes. But not by that much. Once you get to our age, we all want to go to sleep earlier, except for Retha.
I'm a night
She
person.
likes
Yeah.
to stay up late.
6 p.m. I'm wide awake.
Yeah.
No matter how much I've done all day. 6
Yeah.
p.m. I wake up.
Yeah, and each person has their own rhythm. So yeah, same time every night, whatever time it is. Never drink alcohol. That's going to ruin your sleep.
That's a toughie.
Yeah, really, I've tested this extensively. Even the teeniest bit of alcohol wrecks my sleep.
Did you drink alcohol before you started
Not
this
really.
new way of life?
Yeah, very little.
So these good things got to you before you got spoiled.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
Yeah, and we've had more years to practice our bad habits than you did.
Yeah.
So it might be harder getting rid of them.
Let's see. Let's think about that.
All right.
Let's think about a reason why it would be easier.
Easier?
Okay, let's say this. You've had more experience accumulating wisdom, knowing that these bad habits don't actually make you happy. You're no longer naive to that. You think you've done it. You know where happiness is.
That's true.
And we
They don't make you happy.
Yeah.
They might relax you a little bit, but they don't make you happy.
Because they're sad. We all know they're sad.
Instead of doing what the little voice is telling you should be doing, you go play golf and you try to make that as something valid, and it's just not. After you do it, you just have this feeling like, I just wasted half of my day. And
I disagree because golf is exercise. It's getting out there
I
for sure.
avoided doing what I was supposed to be doing.
Oh, avoiding something.
Yeah.
If we think about what societal norms are and what society expects of us and whether or not those are good things. And so currently, we humans work a lot for our work products. We'll work all night long. We'll sacrifice our health to make sure we do really well in our professions. So technology can live on, but we don't. So why are we martyrs for technology?
Amen.
Yes.
That's kind of silly.
Yeah.
And that's only been the case because we could never see a horizon of humans improving in really interesting ways. And so cultural norms are really oftentimes not great for us because we get pressured to participate and do things that are bad for all of us. So changing cultural norms would be a great way to enter this for all of us to improve.
I have a couple of questions about water. One is, do you do cold plunges? And the second one is, what water do you drink and how much do you drink every day?
I do not have cold therapy. And it's not that it's not potentially beneficial. It's just that we can't find enough scientific evidence that it supports our objective of slowing down biological aging for me.
And what about drinking water?
Yeah, I have a water system that ensures cleanliness and pH and other qualifications. And then for quantity, I believe it's 56 ounces a day, thereabouts. And my food has a lot of water in it because I eat a lot of vegetables and berries and whatnot. So,
And that's why you can stop drinking water around noon or 1, I've heard you say.
Yeah.
Because to me, that sounded like, wait a second, he's going to not drink any water between now and when he goes to sleep. That seems so counterintuitive that, like, I thought we're supposed to drink a lot of water because they push water.
yeah, that's right.
And for our body to function correctly and the organs to cleanse and filter and do all of those things.
Yep.
So how do you prevent that from slowing down?
It's not that we've answered every question ever to arise in health and wellness. It's just that we try to do things in a measured fashion. So I do that to optimize for sleep. Because if I drink liquids before I go to sleep, I'm more likely to wake up. Yeah. And if I can sleep through the entire night without going to the bathroom, my sleep is always better. Mm-hmm. So it's all about sleep for me. And
see, then I'm stupid because I drink my water at night. Yeah. And a lot of it. Yeah. And I love getting up in the middle of the night when it's quiet and nothing's going on. I love waking up. I don't know. So I need to change that. You would never do that.
Well, I mean, how's your sleep?
Sleep is good. I sleep really good. And I can go back to sleep after the little trip to the bathroom in an instant.
Yeah.
I'm asleep again.
Yeah,
I'm taking supplements for that. The saw palmetto, and it works. you got to keep taking it for almost a year. But yeah, I don't have to get up, don't have to go. But if you're sleeping, now, so no water, so no snacks then, like a couple hours before, that's going to keep you, okay.
I don't. Yeah, I stopped eating at 11. But this again, this is not that what I do is what everyone should do. I'm just one example of what someone could do.
But you're showing how it works.
Yeah.
It's great. It's,
But but your versions may be just as good. So you just really find it's a process of saying we value scientific evidence, we value measurement. Like, so for example, if your sleep is good, we would look at a few parameters. Like one, you would look at how long does it take you to go to sleep once you lay down. That's your sleep onset. Two, you would look at your WASO, which is your wake after sleep onset. So how much time are you awake after you go to bed? And so an ideal number there is around 30 minutes a night. Any more than 30 minutes, you want to work on bringing it lower. And then you want to look at things like how much REM you get, how much deep sleep you get.
REM, yeah.
But there's characteristics. You can look at your data and you can assess, is this how a 20-year-old is sleeping, or a 30-year-old, or a 40-year-old, or 50-year-old? It trends. And so you can then score your sleep to say, how am I doing? And then you could adjust. Is your water situation good or not?
So I heard you say you stop eating at 11 a.m.
That's right.
And so you're not going to eat till 5 o'clock tomorrow morning.
That's right. Although with you guys, I saved up my extra meal so I can eat with you today.
I understand that you're a vegan. Is it anti-meat or just pro-vegan?
I'm vegan by choice.
Yes.
Yep. And Blueprint says nothing about meat. So if people want to eat meat, great. It's just encouraging people to say, let's look at the evidence. We'll look at measurement. We'll look at how you're doing. So really, it's not an opinion on anything. My preference on being vegan is, I think this time we live is really special. We've given birth to artificial intelligence, to a new form of intelligence that's going to be far superior to our abilities. And as we go about building this and co-evolving with this, I hope that one of the true things in the universe is that as intelligence increases, so does compassion. I hope compassion is a prominent characteristic of intelligence, and that we all have more of it. And I hope that's what society can evolve into. And I really am not engaged in the battle of meat or no meat. It's a really it's a tribal and pretty intense discussion. I really am hoping for compassion in society as we imagine the future of our existence.
I think the hardest thing about eating meat, if you function better on a little bit of meat, I think the hardest thing is the lack of compassion of animals and the way they're raised and the way that they're prepared for us to eat. I do better with a little meat, but it's very hard for me to eat meat because of sense of compassion that I have about animals.
Yeah, I understand your situation.
Do you also take fruits, even though there's all the sugar in some of them?
I eat berries mostly.
Berries, okay.
Blue, black, red, strawberries, raspberries.
Berries, okay.
Yeah.
Now you eat the same thing every day? Does that get boring?
You know what? No, I love my food so much. When I get a chance to eat, because I also I'm caloric restriction, so I only get 2,000 calories a day. So I love food so much, more so than I ever did when I could eat whatever I wanted.
So do you eat gluten too?
I don't.
Okay.
You approve.
Asking for a friend, Pat Patty? No, I'm joking.
No, I'm not.
Yeah. No, I really don't know the science on gluten. I don't like it. So I don't. No statement on my part about that.
No, I know a lot of people who've given up gluten and they feel their body feels much better. My son happens to distribute and bake bread.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of people just stay away from it. They think it's a bad food.
Yeah, I don't immediately know. I can't say anything on that. Yeah, I avoid it.
I'm very much encouraged by what you are disciplined to do. It tells me that without the ability to do what you're doing with the measurements and all of that, that if I will just adapt a few things like even how I treat other people, make decisions about what's, best based on some data, that I can do some things.
That's exactly right.
Bryan, I'm so excited about AI, and I know that some people are so scared of it. Will you share how you feel about AI? Because I think that's a fascinating thing that's coming up or is here.
Like you, I feel great excitement for it. And I think it's the best possible thing that could happen to us as a species.
I feel exactly the same way.
Yeah. And I think that the task before us right now is we need to figure out how to cooperate better. We need to cooperate with the artificial intelligence. We need to cooperate with each other.
Yes.
We need to cooperate within ourselves. And that's what Blueprint is I was looking at the situation and saying, isn't it weird that I do all these destructive behaviors to myself when I'm this intelligent being? Why do I do that? And I have a goal alignment problem within me. Like, there's all these different versions of Bryan that want these different things. I'm doing these self-destructive behaviors. And so I was trying to figure out, how can Bryan cooperate? How can I actually be in harmony? Like, how do I solve world peace inside of Bryan? And that's what Blueprint was doing, is I basically tried to get all my organs engaged to say, hey, heart and liver and lungs, you're just as important as everyone else here. What do you want? And that was the whole process I've been going through, is harmony within myself. And what I think would be great is if we approach this conversation and we said, we want to build an amazing future. And instead of then pointing at everyone else in the world about what they're doing wrong or what they need to do right, if we pointed at ourselves and said, we're going to get ourselves in order first. And if we can get ourselves in order first, then we take the next baby step of start working with each other. But to me, it really is a game for the human race to go in at this point.
Are you afraid of AI? That maybe I watched too much science fiction in the 50s, but that they're going to take over and decide that we need to be extinct?
I mean, of all the risks that we have, I'm much more worried about humans than I am AI.
That's fair.
And we humans, we love to point at danger everywhere except for ourselves. And this is the whole thing. We forget about ourselves always, that we are the source.
You think there's a possibility that you have come back from the future as half AI and half human? No, I'm being very serious now. To show that we can make this curve, that we can cooperate, that we can survive as human beings?
Several people have made that serious observation, and probably it's just my robotic mannerisms.
No, it's not that. No, it's not that at all. It's that you're really leading, you're doing everything humanly possible to, as a human being, lead us into the future. And I recognize that as the wisdom of AI.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I really am trying my best. Thank you for that.
You said your son was 17?
Yes.
May I ask, how old are you?
That's such a complicated question.
Okay.
No, but tell you.
I see the
It's a different lifespan.
Which day do you want it from? Yeah.
Chronologically.
There you go.
Chronologically, how old are you?
Yep, I left my mother's womb 45 years ago.
Okay.
But my left ear is 64.
Wait,
My 64. Yeah. My diaphragm is 18.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
40-something times?
Yeah, and so then I have hundreds of ages throughout my whole body.
Throughout each organ?
Yeah, my heart's different, as a dozen different ages. My lungs different ages. My pancreas.
What about the brain?
That was definitely a bad question.
No, it's a great question. Yeah, but this
look
is
great.
the interesting thing, though.
But that's why you're going to stay so young, because if everything in your heart is only that old, then
Yeah.
your heart living, wow.
Yeah, but if we can think of ourselves as all these different ages, then it helps us to be more precise in the way we speak about what we want to focus on, and because we're as old as our oldest organ.
That's true. That's true.
Are you working on decreasing the age of your ear?
Yes, so every marker we have in the body, we try to reverse. So we measure it, and then we go to the scientific literature and we say, what can we do to make it younger? And with hearing, it's really hard. There's not many good therapies. And so the one therapy I use is audio cardio, which is you just listen to it in your headphones and you listen to frequencies that you struggle to hear. And it stimulates your hair follicles for your hearing, and it can rejuvenate. And so that's the only science right now available. I've been doing it for a while. I've had some improvement, but not meaningful. So we have up in the clinic, we have a professional grade hearing system where we measure my hearing all the time. So there's a few gene therapies that are underway, but nothing yet that we've been able to implement.
Will you speak a little bit about that muscle, that thing in the groin? Will you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah.
I may be interested.
Asking for a friend?
I'm asking for a friend.
Yeah. Well, you can even try it if you want.
Okay.
So this is what we bought this machine, and it makes my muscles flex. So it's like working them out. It just uses this high frequency electromagnetic stimulation. And so you can do it on the abdomen, on the arms, the legs, any muscle, but also has this little seat you sit on. And it's mostly used by women that are trying to address incontinence, after having a baby and they're wanting to rebuild muscle. I started doing it because I was trying to solve a problem of how do I not get up at night to go to the bathroom, and I was trying to rebuild bladder control. So as you age, as men age, they lose strength in bladder control.
Yes.
And that causes difficulties of needing to go to the bathroom more often. So I started doing it. And then when I was doing that, it did help on my not going to the bathroom at night. And then also I started having, every time I woke up, I had an erection. Every single time. And it was such a weird effect of, why is this happening? We didn't expect that to happen. And so we looked into the science, and we said, okay, so what is the age profile of men getting erections at night? And there is a biological age. When you're younger, you have more erections, stronger erections. As you get older, they decrease. And so this system just dramatically increased. And so it was an unexpected situation. It was really funny. And I didn't realize this was going to be written about publicly. The journalist asked me, he wrote the story, and then he's like, hey, so a friend was asking me, how do I get after penis health? And I was like, well, funny you ask. I thought I was sharing this, with a friend who was helping a friend.
Not a journalist.
A journalist is always on.
Unfortunately, the friend was a reporter.
Yeah. So then that's been people's number one interest is the whole thing.
Which is exactly the example of why human beings may not make it. Pardon me.
Yeah.
What is OS Fund, and why did you decide to invest $100 million to start it?
The idea behind OS Fund was that we have really big problems to solve on planet Earth. And if a problem arises that you can use a computer to write computer software, humans are very good at that. We have millions of people all over the world who can write code and solve problems. We're great. If we have problems in the physical world, for example, so the coral reef is dying because the acidity in the ocean is increasing. How do we build a new coral reef that can survive in more acidic conditions, for example? We don't have millions of people who can just say, I know how to program coral reef. Or I know how to program, biology. And so I started investing in companies that were working on making biology programmable. So for example, one company, they do something very simple where if you want rose oil as a fragrance or something else, the typical thing you do is you plant a rose plant, you water it, you give it fertilizer, you harvest it, then you get the rose oil. What they did is they just took yeast and they programmed the yeast to produce rose oil. So you can program biology to do things. You can manufacture things that you otherwise would do in nature. And if you can do that, then if you have a problem in the world to say we need this thing or that thing, whether it's a coral reef or we need rose oil or anything else, you can just program biology and it produces stuff for you, and it just changes everything about being on planet Earth. And so I invested in companies that were building the foundational tools to make biology programmable.
Does it make you cringe when you see people burning the deep forest or all of the stuff about palm oil or any of that? Does that, just as a human being, hoping that we make this 20-year jump, does it just make you cringe?
Well, you know what's cool about this is, yes, we could be doing better on how we're taking care of the planet. Also, the technology we're developing right now, I think give it a little time and we will create more new species than have ever gone extinct.
Oh God, that's wonderful.
I think we are going to walk into an era of prosperity where it right now in this time and place, it feels maybe heavy and it feels maybe like there's some gloom. I think we should be feeling the opposite of it's just around the corner. Our lifespans, our health spans, the earth, I think we're very, very close to getting there. So I actually am an optimist that I think we can turn the corner on these things and get there.
Well, that ought to keep Bad Galen in the corner.
Busy. So what do you think will lead to the social and political will to make these changes? I mean, that's what's really stuck in the mud right now. Everything's so constipated, so to speak. How do we move forward past that and into that new age?
Every time I think about this question, the common responses are to point at other people. It's to cast blame and it's to try to get someone else to change. Mm-hmm. I think the future walks through each one of us. And we just haven't been willing to ask a lot from ourselves. I think it's our opportunity to take part of this future. And I think it's our opportunity to opt in to what could be the most magnificent existence ever created. But I think we need to be actively participating in that and flip the fingers from blame to internal work. Mm-hmm. I know it's a big ask, and I know that's uncomfortable. I do think that's going to be how we're going to succeed.
More and more people in our population are having brain problems with all different kinds of diseases. And that's what I thought you were doing some work on.
Yeah, so with this technology at Kernel, what we have been trying to do is there's no easy way to measure our brains right now. Just like we get our blood drawn to know our cholesterol and certain things we want to know about our body, it would be helpful to know things about our brains. And we know cognitive decline starts decades before symptoms emerge. And so my team and I spent 5 years building impossibly hard technology. And so we've done a few different things to showcase it. So one, we did a study on ketamine. Ketamine is used for pain and a party drug.
Yeah.
I've never been in the drug scene, so you could fool me on all of that.
Okay, so we did ketamine, and it's used as for depression. And so we did a study with 15 people, and I was one of the pilot participants. And so I received an injection of ketamine, and before I did that, I had my brain measured for 10 minutes a day for 5 days during my ketamine session, and then 10 minutes a day for 30 days after. And what we were able to do with the data is finally share what happens to someone's brain when they take ketamine. Because before, it's too expensive to get measurement. You would say, how was your experience on ketamine? The person would be like, well, I don't know. It was like an altered state of consciousness. And I guess I kind of felt okay, but you don't really know. When you're using your memory, you can't really just explain it very precisely. You don't really know what goes on. So for the first time in the world, we were able to show what happened in my brain over that duration of time. Now, if you just replace ketamine with anything else, what happens when you golf every day, or when you're on social media, or when you take this drug or that drug, or when you anything? We now have a technology that can measure your brain, and so we now have data. And this way, it gives scientists a tool so they can say, does my thing work in the brain like we want it to? And that's never been possible before. Right? It's been harder because it's so expensive. And so we built the world's first brain imaging technology that could potentially be used by everyone on planet Earth.
But have you gotten past the mark of finding a cure for things like, or stopping dementia in its tracks?
Not yet. So what we're trying to do, though, is we're looking at cognitive decline now. What we want to do is identify cognitive decline as soon as it shows up in the brain, not in symptoms, but decades before it shows up in symptoms. We want to identify it and then say, okay, here we go. We have a signature of it, and then various companies can get to work on how do we treat it, because right now it's very hard to measure it, to identify it. So we're trying to say we want to be able to give you the markers to say, here it is, here's what it looks like, here's what progression looks like, here's how you slow it down, here's how you reverse it. We want to be able to measure it because science begins with counting, and we want to give the brain numbers.
I've got an appointment for a CT scan of my brain.
Yeah.
Could I trade it in for your treatment or imaging
Yeah.
instead?
Yeah, so CT, they're probably doing it for certain reasons. Different technologies take different kinds of images. So there's MRI, there's CT, there's PET, there's our technology. And so everyone has a unique objective on what it's trying to measure in the brain. So I don't know what they're trying to measure in the brain, and our technology is different than that. And our technology also doesn't solve for every use case. It's just certain use cases. So probably not.
Not yet.
Not yet, but we're hoping that it would be we'd love it if it was just part of your lifestyle. Like, it was just routine that you had your brain scanned on a weekly basis or a monthly basis just to keep track. How are things going? Is everything all right?
I'm very excited because about a month and a half ago, I actually decided on my own that kind of brain scan would be really the best path that I could possibly take. So when I read about and heard you talking about Kernel,
Yeah.
I said I was going to beg you to let me do it.
Yeah. I mean, what's more important than our brains? If we don't have our minds, what do we have? Yeah.
And I was really thinking about that particular type of scan, and it's not anywhere, and you're doing it.
Yes, we did. The team was extraordinary. We built something that did not exist. It was impossibly hard. It took us 5 years and millions of dollars. But the team stuck with it. We did it. It works. So we're very, very excited that it's now here, and we're trying to find useful things we can do in the world.
Well, my brain is excited too.
Yeah, good.
To keep this technology going, what do you think young people should study to be successful in helping this to keep going?
Boy, that question has never been more complicated.
Okay, so many aspects of it.
I mean, now artificial intelligence is moving at a speed. So I think when I was going to college, it was reasonable for someone to say, I'm going to study this, and I'm going to become in this profession, and I'm going to work my lifetime in this profession. Reasonable. Now with my 17-year-old, he's studying physics and math and computer science. What's the job market going to be like in 4 years?
Right. The speed of technology, too. Something could be obsolete by the time you finish your degree.
Yeah.
And your son, do you have any other children?
Yeah, 2 others.
2 others. How old are they?
19 and 13.
19.
Wow.
And they're all following your footsteps, doing what you're doing?
They have, my 17-year-old, yes. He does
Okay.
everything. My 19-year-old's at school, and it's harder as he's in college to do it, but he still does some things. And then my daughter has other interests in life currently.
She's taking care of herself, though. Eating well, not 13. Well, okay, you're
We're working on it.
Yeah.
My granddaughter is 13.
But it's, like my son went to his orientation at his school, and it's a really nice school. And he sent me a video, and everyone's there eating junk food and staying up all night. And I thought, this is so sad. Some of the brightest people in the whole world, who they train their brains to get into this institution, and now they're just packing in the sugar. And I thought, how have we just gone wrong?
And what did you do at that age?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Same, right?
exactly. I had all, and I'm so sad about it. I wish someone would have taught me differently.
Yeah.
More,
I shouldn't have had that Mr. Goodbar last night.
but I was going to ask you about your children and how they react to this lifestyle.
Yeah.
And and how it's intertwined with making friends at school and normal teenage life.
Yeah. Well, my 17-year-old, this dish you guys are going to have, this super veggie, it's just a bunch of vegetables. He took it to school with him every day, and he would eat it at school lunch, and his friends would be eating Doritos and pizza and soda. And his friend tweeted out, he said, he took a picture of him eating his vegetables. He said, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's wrong at home. No, he said, he said, I don't know what's going on, but I hope everything's okay at home. He was worried that he was eating vegetables. And he's like,
That's weird, right?
There's a problem at home going on. We need to look into this.
That's forcing you to eat well?
I saw that, I think, I watched that. Oh, boy.
You seem to be handling it. So.
Yeah, but people's reactions are all over the map. Like you maybe have seen the blueprints created quite a stir in people's reactions.
Bryan, we could talk with you for 2 years and never get tired. I think we're out of time with this podcast, but we're sticking around to learn more.
It's really been a pleasure. Thank you for your time, your house, and especially your knowledge.
Yep.
And a lot of things to change.
Enjoyed every second of it.
Yeah, the basics, the things we talked about today of identifying the naughty versions of yourself, going to bed on time, not eating too much food, not eating junk food, getting some exercise, getting those things right. Yep, and then being around for this fantastic future which we're about to have.
And get our brain scanned.
And getting your brain scanned.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Maybe empty up there, may not be anything.
What if it echoes? Yeah.
Yeah, echoes.
Well, I'm going to talk to Bad Aretha tonight.
Yeah.
We're going to have a conversation.
There you go.
Again, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.